Okay, well, welcome everybody. Calling tonight's board meeting to order. Righty. A recording and or broadcast of this meeting is being made at the direction of the board, which may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. I'll now take the roll. Stella? Here. Jim?
Here.
Vladimir?
Here.
Brian?
Here.
And I, Shelley Sarkey, am here as well. Next is our Pledge of Allegiance. Would any Loyola students like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
We are the Loyola Lions. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would any board members like to provide comment on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Motion to approve tonight's agenda as presented was made by Vladimir, seconded by Stella. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Closed session report. No action was taken in closed session tonight. Superintendent's update.
Great, a few things. We launched a joint survey on Friday, so we are surveying our parent community. We're working with LAF, the school sites, and the district to get some parent feedback around program offerings, our LCAP goals, our strategic planning. So that survey is open through Friday. We had a little hiccup on Friday. Thank you, Dr. Bosco, for fixing that one up. But we've already gotten great numbers of responses to our survey. So that will be open through the week, and we appreciate principals reminding folks to complete that survey. So thank you, parents who are in the room. This weekend, of course, Saturday is the Junior Olympics. We are all very excited about Junior Olympics. So just a reminder, this year it's at Mountain View High School, not Los Altos, where it's been the last couple of years. So we're back at Mountain View High School. Look forward to seeing you all Saturday morning, bright and early. It's one of the best days of the year. It's so much fun. This Friday, I know I'm going. I'm assuming several, if not all of you, are going to the State of the Cities luncheon. That's Friday up at the Fremont Hills Country Club. Both mayors of Los Altos and Los Altos Hills will be giving an update on the cities, which is really terrific. Looking forward to that on Friday. Next week, Shelley, Brian, and I are headed to Washington, D.C. for the annual Coast to Coast federal advocacy trip. I think this year more than ever, having an opportunity to talk to our representatives around the federal funding. While it's not a huge amount of money that we get, it's certainly money that we get to support students with our highest needs within our school district. So we will be there for a few days next week. And then just a reminder, I'm headed to my own son's college graduation, which is happening next. Really hard to imagine. In this week's weekly update, I will make sure you have we have a few remaining back to school nights or open houses. We'll get the end of year concert dates on there for you so you can attend whatever concerts you may be able to. All the fun things happen at the end of the school year, and it's hard to believe that it's coming to a close.
Exactly.
It's been a very quick school year. Thank you. That's it for me right now.
Thank you. And now on to literally the best part of our meetings.
Yeah.
It's our school presentations. And tonight we're very delighted to see Loyola. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Excellent, thank you. Well, my name is Kelly Rafferty and I've got the privilege, I say privilege, to serve as the principal of Loyola. This year, our dedicated teachers and staff have fully embraced the principles of deeper learning, and each teacher got to choose an area of focus this year. It's either learning through inquiry, amplifying student voice, activating 6Cs, or making learning public. And tonight, we're excited to spotlight educators and students who credit their work on making learning public. So you'll soon see the beauty of deeper learning is that you can't do one without doing all of them. So you will see bits and pieces of all four in this class. Deeper learn or making learning public is what they focused on. And so it's my pleasure to introduce the incredible fifth graders and the inspiring fifth grade teachers of the
I'd like to introduce my grade level partner, Maria McBride, and I'm Beth Rubenstein. We're really happy to be here tonight. So we are looking at our, this is our focus, our deeper dive learning. We try to include as much as possible, of all the different moves that we learned in our professional development. And our driving question is, how can we help our community?
It's.
And we're gonna, Maria's gonna talk about the timeline that we used, was it very full? We started off and we have deeper learning moves within the timeline up here. We started off by asking the students, how can we help our community? And that was an authentic task. And, so we went ahead and surveyed the students about what their needs, what needs they were interested in, and we gave them choice. Then we decided to give them what's called a provocation, where we're introducing a book called Maniac McGee by Jerry Spinelli, and that was our class mentor text as a fifth grade at the time, getting them to look for possible issues that would be coming up within that text to help them decide on their choice for service. And then we went ahead and surveyed them again to finalize their interests. And then we set the expectations for the service project. After that, we then moved into grouping our students based on their interests, their common interests, and creating an action plan for that service.
Yeah, and then once the students were grouped, this is where the fun stuff starts happening. It was a lot of student choice and being able to explain with their voice what they want to do. So I think it was really great how they were grouped by their interests and they all were really passionate about it. One of the ideas that we did early on was while they're still just in this brainstorming phase, we got this idea from actually our own cross-school collaboration, was that we actually had some students switch from our classes that had similar groups, similar topics to share their ideas very early on in the brainstorming phase. And I think it just kind of helped build more ideas and also kind of start critique and revision early on, because you can do it at any stage in the learning process. So it was really great to get them engaged early on. And then once they had more of a direction, we started to implement their service project, sorry. And that had a variety of directions, which was really exciting to see. We have some groups that decided to actually make a more call to action by organizing events and raising money. We had students make their own websites to raise awareness. And something that we had all students do was to do kind of mini presentations to almost every classroom at our school, just to kind of talk about like, hey, this is something that's important to us and we all can do something to help out our community. And then once they started to implement more of their service project, as we're starting to wrap things up, we then introduced to them what a TED Talk was, because we wanted to culminate their work in a nice TED Talk style presentation to also teach a different way of presentation skills. That's not just reading from a slide, it's a little more natural. And that was a lot of good practice. We saw a lot of great examples to help inspire the students. And we then did a TED Talk conference in our own individual classes where every student was able to present and get critique and get feedback, to then prepare them for our Loyola TED Talk conference, where we all gathered in a multi with family and community members and friends to come and watch and support and see all the great things that we've been doing for the past, was it about 2 months? All the great work. And just throughout the entire process, there was just so much peer and teacher feedback to really help guide the students. So,
Now,
yeah,
we are ready.
so I think this is working. Yeah. That's what I'm pressing. So
And now we're.
then we're gonna have our first group. We have 2 groups to present their TED Talks to us.
Love it.
Markers are working, so maybe you can just kind of say like when you move to the next slide.
Hi, many of you don't know, so my name is Abby and these are my friends. I'm Lily. I'm Samara. And I'm Dog. And our topic is called helping the homeless. It's a really important topic because people are starving to death all around the world. And are we doing anything about it? No. We have to take action and help the hungry. Well, absolutely stop. Like you cannot wait to eat. Yeah, I'm guessing most of you. Now, would you take a feeling and imagine feeling this all day, every day? Well, that's how some people feel for most of their life. You know, not thinking about it. I once got so hungry, it hurt. I was walking around to, like, recess, holding my stomach going like, ooh, like with the slow steps, you know? And this was after skipping breakfast, one meal of the day. So after feeling that, I felt much more sympathy for the people who feel that every day. Why are people starving, you may ask? Well, people starve for many reasons. One of the main reasons is that people don't have enough money to afford food because they have low-paying jobs or no job at all. Some other reasons people go hungry are because of war, disabilities, or injuries, and personal hardships.
Put yourself in their shoes. How would you feel if you had nothing to eat? Weak, right? Well, imagine your body temperature becoming very low. Your mood becomes very irritable, which makes it really hard to concentrate. Also, your muscles contract, which makes it very hard to move around.
This is a very serious issue, so you may want to know how you can help. There are a variety of things you can do to help the hungry, including donating food or money to organizations that help the hungry.
Or you can even volunteer in a food organization, but the least you can do is spread awareness about hungry people. We need help to stop this problem, so it is up to us and you guys to spread awareness, to make an impact.
It takes a little time and effort to take the energy to donate to food organizations or volunteer at other companies that help food for the hungry. The saddest thing is that 9 million people die of hunger every year. So please help us lower this number. We started a food organization and we collected about 61 items of food to donate to the second harvest. So we are so grateful to each and every person who donated to our food organization. Did you know in the 3 minutes it took to share this TED Talk with you, 33 people died of hunger? Please take into consideration what we have shared with all of you. Hello everyone, we are here for our PBL presentation focusing on sexual. We are Nori, Asha, Henry, and Santiago. In the US in 2021, about 260 kids were hospitalized every day because of coronavirus. This is just one of the many things that's happening. Here are some of the more serious conditions and sickness. Let's use pneumonia as an example. Pneumonia is a lung infection which makes it difficult to breathe and life-threatening. About 120 million episodes of pneumonia occur in children under 5 years in a year. Um, uh, If you have pneumonia, you could be hospitalized. Raise your hand if you would like any type of entertainment if you are hospitalized with pneumonia. That is why we encourage people to donate to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. You can help by donating to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization. Again, sick children need toys and cool experiences, such as allowing kids to go to Disneyland alone, of course, or on the fire. Imagine you've always wanted to go to Disneyland, but you're feeling really down since you have a serious illness. Then, when you finally get to go, you feel so much better. That's the feeling the Make-A-Wish Foundation gives to kids all across the U.S. In fact, 12,500 wishes were granted last year. That's around 35 wishes every day. St. Jude's helps children beat cancer and other life-threatening diseases. They also don't charge families for food or living expenses while their child is hospitalized, so that they can focus on their child getting better. They are funded by donors, so if you want to help, please donate to St. Jude's. The chart there shows cancer survival rates in 1962 and 2024. In 1962, the cancer survival rate was only 20%, but in 2024, St. Jude's has helped push that up to 80%. We spread awareness about Make-A-Wish and St. Jude's Children's Hospital. We also researched to make presentations at our school, made flyers, then put them up around our school too. Not only that, but passed them out to peers and fellow students. There is a newsletter that gets posted out every week for students and teachers to see. At our school, it's called the Weekly One. Our flyer made it to the Weekly One. We're hoping that making presentations and putting up flyers will help spread awareness about sick children. In all, we have spread awareness about sick children that have been hospitalized and have nothing to eat. Remember that by just donating a toy, you can make a kid's day. We hope you learned something and please donate. Thank you for listening.
The students, you can come back up and just share some reflections you've had about this project. What big takeaways that you have had and why it was meaningful for you?
The employee was very happy because we donated 60 items of food, and there were only 7 items of food inside the box. So she was extremely happy, and when we donated, we felt really good.
These topics, when we decided to learn about them, a lot of us probably thought that these topics need more awareness, and these are also really hard topics. So, like, the fact that not a lot of people are aware of these topics it's really sad because there are a lot of people that die all around the world and nobody does anything about it. And the fact that we started that we were aware of these topics made it kind of easier for us to think about like what happens all over the world every single day.
Many people believe that donating or helping others is very hard, but it's really not. Even a small act to help can make a big difference. We had more control over what we were learning, so I feel like it was more fun to decide what we wanted to do. We had a lot of responsibility and independence when working on this project, whether it's deciding what topic do you want to care about or how should we care about this topic. We also got to work with more than one partner because usually we only work with one other person or independent. So it was really fun to be able to work with the entire group. And I think the survey was a great idea so we could choose what topic we were interested in. Thank you so much for doing it.
Time to reflect.
We did a lot of reflecting. At the very beginning, we felt overwhelmed. It was messy. We did a lot of brainstorming and revisiting our ideas back and forth, lots of collaboration between the two of us. And it was definitely just constant for a while, and we were not sure where this was gonna go. We didn't really have an existing plan because we weren't following any kind of script or any kind of lesson plan. And so we just needed to be flexible with each other, you know, with our ideas and also especially with the kids and where their ideas were gonna take us. And we found that the kids were quite inspiring to us and also to each other, because they were creating their own designs, their own plans, and they started just becoming passionate, as you can see with these guys. That's how all of our students were. They were very passionate about their service plans, how they were going to help their community. And thing that I was thinking about, or we were talking about, is like what happens next year. And one of the things that I've been, you know, we delve into these large projects. Every year I've been doing, and Maria, we've been doing different projects, so we don't know if it's going to be the same because we haven't done anything the same each year. So who knows?
Yeah. When I reflect on this process, I kind of think it was a little chaotic, but productive chaos. I remember the first day that I like set up the groups, and it was kind of just like, okay, meet up with your group and just what are your first ideas? I feel like anybody that would walk by my classroom would be like, it is too loud in there, they're not getting work done. But you had to be in there to feel the energy and see how excited the kids were, and they just had so many ideas. And then that energy never really stopped. It just was so great to see everyone so excited, but still getting work done because of their enjoyment in this idea. And I think that it felt like it was more meaningful to actually reach out to the community and make a difference. And I personally think that there's so many ways that we can help our community. So I feel like this can always be a type of project that we can go back to. But what I love most about it is the voice that we gave the students and being able to give them the choice. So I don't think I'll ever maybe do this project like exactly the same, because it depends on what students I'm gonna have in the future. But I feel like it can always be something that we can go back to. So.
That was wonderful. Board members, any questions or comments? Wonderful guest speakers, probably some of the best TED Talks I've heard. I really like how you kind of embody the think locally but act locally kind of concept, and the compassion and the empathy that you build in yourselves while you go through this process. It's very commendable. Thank you, teachers. Thank you, Ms. Radford here. Oh, thank you. Thank you, students. If you would like to leave, you're welcome to. If you'd like to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're welcome to. Under the consent calendar, would any board members like to provide comment on tonight's consent calendar? May I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented? Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second? I'll second. Thank you, Stella. Motion to approve tonight's consent calendar as presented was made by Vladimir, seconded by Stella. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Employee requests to address the board. I understand that tonight we do not have representatives from the Los Altos Teachers Association nor the California School Employees Association who want to address the board. Right. So to provide public comment on an agenda item, speaker cards are to be submitted to the superintendent. Speaker cards will not be accepted once public comment begins. Your name will be announced when it is your turn to speak. This time is reserved for members of the public and employees to address the board on items that are not on the agenda. The board is not permitted to discuss or take action on non-agenda items, except to instruct the superintendent to review the matter further, report back to the board at a subsequent meeting, or place the matter on a future agenda. The board may make a brief comment or ask clarifying questions. And tonight, it looks like we've got two people, public comment. You will each be given 3 minutes. We'll start with Demetra. Did I pronounce that correctly?
So, my name is Demetra Bell. I'm actually I'm the parent of a current sixth grader who expected to attend Egan in the fall. And I'm here today to express serious concerns about the zone students that were on the wait list for fall 2025. A couple of questions. Has a wait list for zone students ever existed before? I'm not sure. And why was there no prior communication giving the lower enrollment of block? It's not feasible for my son to attend block. We moved to our home specifically to be nearby our zoned elementary, middle, and high school, allowing our kids to walk to school. Forcing a change now would disrupt our daily routine and negatively impact our child's safety, commute, and social emotional well-being during a critical transition. I'd like more transparency. Are all the enrolled at Egan, all the enrolled students for fall zoned for the school? If space limitations were anticipated, the district should have considered rezoning or implementing a fair district-wide lottery, not a first come, first serve basis without prior notification. I'd like clarification on the number of zone students currently on the wait list, how the district plans to address this equitably, and what steps are going to be taken in the future, as I have a fourth grader. I did receive an email from the superintendent, Ms. McConigal, and she told me not to expect movement off the wait list and to seek carpool options for block. I'm not sure how many parents are in the room here. Try organizing carpools to and from school. It is impossible. Schedules just don't simply line up for working parents. You know, coordinating daily transportation, morning drop off, afternoon pickup is a huge burden, especially for families with multiple children, different start times, after school activities. It's just not realistic. Additionally, as a parent who lives in the community, my child is expected to go on to Los Altos. I know there's kids that go from block onto Los Altos, but there are more kids that are zoned for Egan that go on to Los Altos High School. It's just a fact. I don't know all the numbers. If you guys want to share that with me, I would appreciate it. Block is a wonderful school. My niece and nephew went to school there. I have a lot of friends and kids who went there. It's just not the right school for us with where we live right now. Many of us heard this issue through word of mouth in recent months. It appears the district knew this was coming and chose not to address it. Now there's a group of us with children and our families, and we're being asked to absorb this fallout from some poor planning and mismanagement. I ask that you fairly evaluate my family's situation and others who reasonably expected to enrollment at Egan this fall. I hope this can be resolved without further escalation. Thank you.
Next, we
I
have,
have a question.
oh, sorry.
Have you considered bicycling to block from wherever you live?
It's just not safe. If you've seen the roads out there with these electric bikes,
Okay.
yes, we
That's
have.
all I wanted to know. Thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you. Next, we have Allison Biggs.
Hi, I'm Allison Biggs. I have a seventh grader at Egan, and I'm just here to follow up on an issue of local input in special education. As you know, our local community advisory committees, CACs, were collapsed into one giant group that covers 20 districts. And SELPA staff are really doing their best to manage this group. This large CAC really can't address any local concerns, and local programs for students and parents no longer have a home. And critically, local CACs, they offered a key opportunity for parents to speak about their concerns directly with special education administrators at really collaborative, constructive meetings. So along with some other concerned parents and community members, we created a petition, and we're asking basically every board in the area to establish a committee for special education that reports directly to the board. And this committee would really show the students and parents their voices are valued and could have a local impact on special ed. and address issues that require open communication and collaboration between all all groups involved in special ed. I forwarded a copy of the petition, but I printed one too, if that could be of use. I could leave that here. That's all I wanted to say, but since I have an extra minute, I see. I just wanted to note that, this board meeting fell at the exact same time and date as the MVLA board meeting, and I also have a freshman son at LAHS. So I would have liked to present this issue there as well, but I can't be in 2 places at the same time. And I'm just hoping for in the future that you consider this, overlap with, because I mean, pretty much everyone here goes to MVLA. So a lot of us will have students who are at both meetings. Go. Thank you.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Is it possible within the SELPA itself to have what used, the former districts form their own like subcommittee there?
We have the Learning Challenges Committee, but since it has basically no authority, I guess you could say, no administrators come to our meeting the way they used to come to the SELPA one CAC. So perhaps it could be arranged that they do come to that meeting, but I've been in contact with Christine Caslow, who you might know, who runs these meetings, and it was her opinion in particular that she ended up going to the MVLA meeting and I came here. That it would probably be better if we had a committee that reported to the board, because that would create a little bit more authenticity to the process.
Okay, thank you.
Would your committee just be?
Sorry.
The committee that you're proposing, would it only be made up of LASD parents or? would-
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, one local to LASD.
And there'd be one local to Mountain View Wisman.
Yeah. I suppose we could coordinate too as well if we want. I used to cover both Mountain View Wisman, LASD and MVLA. That would be the 3 districts. And some of Palo Alto, but they have their own highly defined structures, so they're not as, yeah, they're very organized in Palo Alto.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Questions? Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right. Action and discussion items. The first thing we have is the deeper learning contents update. Director of Teaching and Learning, and Sarah Gerlitz, Curriculum and Instruction Coordinator.
Thanks for welcoming us as per usual. Sarah and I are here tonight to share what we think is a really helpful update about the great things that are happening for teachers and kids in LASD relative to deeper learning. Our work continues and will continue around this initiative because we believe so strongly this is truly a pathway both for our students who are high achieving and also a pathway to equity for all of our students. More and more of our classrooms, we're seeing deeper learning happening for kids. So we're excited about that. In a deeper learning classroom, knowledge and skills are developed. Kids are learning content, but one of the defining characteristics of a deeper learning classroom is that kids are also becoming. There's development as learners, developing the skills that will be necessary for them to be successful for the rest of their lives. We've, I believe, spoken with you before about this notion that we believe that we are helping kids become writers of their own stories. We don't want them to become who we want them to become. We want them to become who they want to become. We want them to have all of the tools necessary to be able to do that. And we see deeper learning as the way that we can do this. This leads to the question around, like, what do we really want for kids? And what are the experiences that lead to those outcomes? Our deeper learning is housed in this framework we've talked about before several times. In our classrooms, when kids are given the opportunity to have a positive relationship with the teacher who cares and knows them really well and feels safe to be who they are, and are given challenging opportunities and are supported to meet the expectations of those opportunities, they do develop the skills, mindsets, and habits that will help them to become. And that's kind of what deeper learning is all about.
In so many ways, the things that we're talking about sound a lot like theory. It is theory. I am so pleased that we had the opportunity to hear from Loyola students and teachers just a moment ago. And I want you to have that as a lens on as we talk about some of these important elements and indicators of deeper learning, because it showed up here in their story. So this year, our professional learning had a focus around designing deeper learning experiences. In their story that they told, you heard things such as teacher moves. You may have seen that in parentheses, a reference for the way the teacher was hoping to engage the learners in something. But on the other side of the teacher move is it's paired always with, well, what's happening for kids? So one of our questions about deeper learning is often, well, so what does it look like? How do you know it's happening? So we've really streamlined it around these 4 indicators, which showed up tonight in the stories that we heard. First of all, there's purpose. Students know what they are doing and why they are doing it. There's agency. They're entrusted to do something important and challenging. I think we even heard a student this evening use the term responsibility. We were charged with doing something. This sense of community that we're talking about is that students are known, they belong, but they're also dependent on one another to do something. What we heard really came by collaboration. And this idea of learning by doing is that we're not just learning about something, we're becoming or embodying the skills of the professional. So if we're talking about social studies, we're becoming historians who do the work of historical thinking. That would be an example of that. It's far more than hands-on learning when we talk about learning by doing. It's the real business of school and what it would look like beyond. So we had our Loyola example, but I also have so many examples. I get to be a part of classrooms in LASD. I get to see things firsthand with teachers. And I want to highlight a few of these stories. Is deeper learning happening in LASD? It is. It is. And these are some ways that it goes. This is what it looks like. So I had the great privilege of attending mini Los Altos at Oak Elementary School, constructed by both kindergarten classes, and the mayor came for a ribbon cutting ceremony. When you hear an example like that, you hear a class who engaged in an inquiry to understand what community helpers do. And they thought deeply about what could we build if we were to build a community, what would it look like so all members of the community could thrive? And they physically constructed a multi-size version of Los Altos that so many of us got to come be a part of. And in that story, you hear purpose, you hear agency, you see the way they were a community who did that together. And they're certainly learning by doing. It was all tucked within social studies, but they were learning deeply about the discipline by doing it, and answering really important questions about what it means to be a community and what should a community look like so that all people can thrive. We have another very different example at the top, an example of co-constructing success criteria. So rather than simply leading with, here's your rubric, let's do this, we can actually give kids an opportunity to investigate real work and make sense of it. What's working about this text? Why is it strong? What's happening in the lead? What's happening in the conclusion? And so students together can be making some observations about what they see, and they, facilitated by teacher, generate essentially the success criteria for their writing. It becomes far more powerful than giving them the checklist. It ends up looking like the checklist that we want for that genre of writing, but they understand why it works and they feel invited and invested in pursuing writing that looks like that because they see and understand why it works. This bottom example, first grade, Welcome to the Neighborhood, is a great story in LASD of deeper learning that really took first grade by storm across the district. It started in one class. It started with one team, expanded quickly to another. And the idea of the unit is welcome to the neighborhood, but the essential question behind it is how can we welcome new people to our school community? Around Los Altos, you'll probably see in many of the school offices a kid constructed map of the school. And so they thought about what are the components of the school? How does the school work? How would you need to know and understand and utilize maps in order to be successful in this space? They did so many things in order to do this, but in this example, it's actually kids looking at real maps from that families provided of places they've been, of places that mean something to them. So we have all the things, again, we have purpose, we have agency, we have that sense of community, and again, we have that real learning by doing. And I could go on. There's 5 pictures here. We have so many stories and beautiful examples of the deeper learning that happens for kids. And it really is it's those indicators for deeper learning. Yes, teacher moves got here. Teachers are designing for these deeper learning experiences, but they're not just thinking about what they're doing. They're thinking about how is this going to come to life for our students.
We believe so strongly that this type of experience puts kids at the center of their learning in a way that more traditional teaching and just learning facts figures doesn't do. And so we've continued to invest in professional development for our teachers around this. Recently, we took a team of teachers for the 2nd year in a row to the Deeper Learning Conference at High Tech High, an innovative network of schools in San Diego. This draws in educators from around the world who are interested in creating more student-centered classrooms. It is what I would call an immersive experience. The participants who come here, the educators, experience deeper learning for themselves as a learner. They're put through different types of experiences that put them at the center of their learning.
It is a global conference. People are really truly coming from everywhere to participate and say yes to this kind of learning. But one thing we knew we wanted to do as a Los Altos team was to really gather and launch as a cohort because we have so much learning we've been doing. We've been doing the work of designing deeper learning experiences. We wanted to frame our time at the conference around our own inquiry. What is deeper learning? And we're not just answering that question, we're expanding what we already understand about it. And since it is an immersive experience where people, the purpose of the conference is to experience deeper learning for yourself, we wanted to introduce or frame the experience we were going to have at the conference around those same 4 indicators that I just shared we look for in classrooms. And it actually happened for us. People experienced their 3 days at the conference really feeling that deeper learning did happen for them.
One of the highlights I think Sarah just mentioned is that there's this deep dive experiences that lasts for across multiple days. And we are truly lucky enough to have somebody here with us, Sarah Gerlinger, who was chosen from a long list of applicants to be a presenter at the conference. And she facilitated a session for leaders, one of only 2 leadership sessions that was provided in the conference called Leadership Moves for Cultivating a Culture of Inquiry from Vision to Practice. And Sarah brought many of the things that we have been doing with teachers here in LASD to share with the international community of people who are as concerned as we are about student-centered learning. And unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to share the video with you, but this is a beautiful video, a testimonial of the amazing work, not only that my friend Sarah does, but that we are doing here for students in Los Altos School District. And we're really proud both of Sarah and of what is happening for kids and teachers here.
A thing I want to share about going through this experience is it affirmed for me that we're so on the mark and that we're doing incredible things. Our teachers are doing incredible things in classrooms, and it was a privilege to be able to share that and do that work and come back knowing that we're doing this. So that was a highlight for me.
She is talking, you won't hear her.
Yeah. I'll send it to you all so you can watch the video.
This deeper learning is truly becoming a movement here in Los Altos. I think that this year you've heard from multiple schools and classrooms in their presentations where they're taking very strategic action to put kids at the center of their learning. And as I said at the start, this is a hopeful message. We are truly doing it. We're making things happen for kids in a different way than we have before. And our next steps are to continue with our professional development with teachers. We'll continue the same strand next year, getting into more of the nuances around deeper learning and what it looks like in classrooms every single day to have deeper learning experiences happening for kids. We're also exploring ways that, just like we took a small group of teachers to this conference, we're exploring ways that we can work with smaller cohorts of teachers who really are interested in developing specific expertise in parts of deeper learning. And I'm sure we'll have many opportunities to come back and share more with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, that's wonderful. Board, any clarifying questions?
I have a question.
Clarifying question. We will go into discussion.
Well, I mean, as you mentioned, we've seen a lot of presentations from different grade levels and classes, and they're clearly doing like amazing deeper learning work. And when you were showing some of the things, I know that math project in first grade happens across the district, but not like some of the things that we've seen don't happen across the district. So how do you?
Yeah.
Not, well, yeah, I mean, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
but I don't think all of the deeper learning experiences, as those teachers were talking, like maybe next year they're gonna do something different depending on the students in their class. So without making it part of the curriculum, but also kind of standardizing it, like how.
Yeah, I think you're holding two really important ideas. We do want some really core experiences to happen for students. And one way that that's happening, and we're exploring that, is by getting that critical mass going. So the very organic way that the first grade map project laid out is one way to do it. It happens by way of teachers experiencing a great degree of success with their students and sharing that with one another and wanting to say yes to that. And then on the other hand, Maria said it so brilliantly that I am responsive to my students.
Right.
And so, you know, there is this careful line of, you know, we can think about some things that are particularly good for kids, but we also want to be able to, for teachers to have the agency to design for their students. So tools that we have, such as those 4 indicators, right? Or such as our principles for deeper learning that kind of give us a pathway for design, help ensure that the deeper learning is happening on the daily versus the hallmark experience, you know, a time in the year. So it's not a direct answer to the question, but it is, I mean, it really is incredibly balanced, careful work that we need to be thoughtful about.
I think it's also really worthwhile that when things happen organically, it's because they're working so well. This map project took off because it was so engaging for kids. It was so relevant. Kids really were experiencing a sense of agency around it. And so.
But obviously it was shared from.
Sure.
Teaching team, teaching.
Call for public comment, and then we can go into board discussion.
Yes.
So because public comment should be on what they presented. And not
Okay.
what we're discussing. I'm sorry.
It's okay, it was just my question, I'm done.
Marcia, there are no requests for public comment. I'll open this for board discussion, please.
We already answered my question, I'm sorry.
Any comment? Just have one quick question, and I think Greg, you kind of touched on it. Can you expand a little bit more in how the small group of teachers that went this year, the small group that went, how are you sharing this with the other teachers in our school district?
Yeah, so the teachers are coming back and implementing practice in their classroom. I think that there are a couple of ways that we're doing some sharing. One is that, like in this great example here, the MAT project spreads when teachers come back, do amazing things, and then other teachers see it and start to see the magic that's happening. There's an interest in taking on that work themselves. And so opportunities for teachers to share the work that they're doing during staff meetings and collaboration is one way. And then we also are continuing to work with the teachers who did go to the conference. We'll have some follow-up time with them to do some reflection and some, what have you done since we've been back, and some next steps for them.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next agenda item Measure and Citizens Bond Oversight Annual Report. The Measure and Citizens Bond Oversight Committee will present its annual report for approval.
Good to be back with you a year later. Thank you very much. Please tell Brandon we miss him. So I'm Steve Houchins. I'm here representing the Measure in Citizens Oversight Committee. I'm here to present the annual report, the copies that were included with your packet. I hope you've had a chance to review those. This is probably a chance to quickly read it. It's a single page. The committee met with the district staff on March the 5th of this year. We reviewed the audited results and then came to for the fiscal year of June the 30th, 2024. It's basically the year previous. The auditor reported that the district has properly accounted for the expenditures held in the Measure In fund and that such expenditures were made for authorized bond projects. That's what you want to hear. Number two is that the auditor reported that there were no findings or recommendations, which is also the most important thing you want to hear. And based on the audit results, the Measure In Citizens Oversight Committee, recommend that you accept and approve this report. I just want to say thank you for your time. Any questions about that? I have one other topic I'd like to cover. So yes, any questions?
Any clarifying questions on this part? No. Okay.
Great. Do you want to vote on that part? Do you need to vote on that part at this point? Yes.
If what you want to talk about is not included as an agenda item, I'm sorry.
It's a thank you for the committee. Is that acceptable to this committee, to the board?
Yeah,
I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. We actually had a large contingent of openings last year. Eric and I spoke about that a year ago. I think there were 3 openings that were vacancies in the committee last year. And then we had another member that had to lead the committee. So we had 4 openings and this group approved 3. So thank you very, very much. We are in great shape going into the new year. So that's my other topic.
Awesome.
So thank you again for the work that you did to help us this year.
Thank you so much.
Yes, of course.
This is an action item. Are there any requests for public comment? Okay, public comment is closed. Would any board members like to provide further comment on this agenda item?
I would just likewise like to thank the committee for all the work that they've put into the report.
Thank you very much.
Then may I have a motion to approve the Measure and Citizens Bond Oversight Committee Annual Report?
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Motion to approve the Measure and Citizens Bond Oversight Committee Annual Report was made by Vladimir and seconded by Stella. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much.
Thank you
and
very
the
much.
committee for
Thank
it.
you.
All right, next is board policy updates.
All right, you have a somewhat large handful of board policy updates tonight. Hopefully you've either had an opportunity to read through them and or if you haven't, you have any suggestions before our next meeting, you'll come back for approval at the next meeting. That is round 3. And then for number 4, we also have a deletion. Say about the deletion.
I think the deletion is just.
It's added in a different policy.
Right.
Yes, yep.
I think it was 3320, yeah, 3320.
Any
Yeah, so
clarifying?
please let me know before we meet on 29th, I believe. Let me know if you have any comments.
Are there any public comment on this agenda item? Okay, public comment is closed. Any further board discussion? Okay, great. I guess we covered 3 and 4.
We did.
Okay. Moving on to board and administration comments. Dr. Bosco, why don't you start us off?
Thank you. We've started our process of collecting input for LCAT. Sandra mentioned the parent survey that recently went out. We've also been holding in-person input sessions. So I've been at staff meetings at Loyola, and Block, and Springer, and going to Alman and Egan this week. And so that's been really fun, asking folks about what's working, where can we improve. Also want to mention on the HR side of the house, we're starting CSEA negotiations soon. We'll be bringing a sunshine letter to you for review. CSEA will bring their response as well. We have a lot of work to do in that particular agreement, just around language and different topics. And then finally, I want to thank Stella for coming to the Student Summit in Taiwan, where our Egan students and chaperones, Jen Patino and Raquel Mataroli, were there. It was so fun to have you be there and say hello and be introduced. But it was a wonderful experience talking about learning by doing, practicing their Mandarin skills from their world language class at Egan, but also being ethnographic researchers, learning about culture, learning about schools over there. So they will actually be coming and doing the presentation. We couldn't let them off the hook without it. So that will be in a future meeting. And then today I was sharing with Sandra and Greg, we had a teacher advisory group meeting again. Excellent turnout, 20 teachers. It's our 6th meeting, and we're hoping to have them do some type of report as well at the end of their time together. And I may have been here. I feel really bad about
No,
that.
you're not gonna be talking about it. So I want to acknowledge, I know Kim didn't want to speak tonight, but I want to acknowledge all the great CSEA staff. While a lot of teachers were on spring break 2 weeks ago, we had a lot of custodians, groundkeepers, maintenance workers working over break, getting the schools cleaned up and organized. They get an opportunity to get into a couple areas to do some deep cleaning, so thank you to our great CSE staff. I love talking, the kids talked about deeper learning, and then Greg and Sarah talked about deeper learning, but our business staff did some deeper learning. This year, the California Association of School Business Officials has an annual conference. It was actually in San Jose, and it was a great opportunity. We sent 5 staff members, actually 6 staff members, from the business and maintenance office to the annual conference. A lot of great professional development, deeper professional learning, which is great. And so we really do pride ourselves on professional development, not just for our certificate staff, but also for our classified staff, because we feel it's very important. We have a big CACF meeting on Wednesday night, budget review committee this week. It's that rhythm of April and May for budget adoption. So staff is working really hard on that. So we'll be bringing some items back to you in the next couple weeks. So thank you. It's been very busy spring.
Thank you. Stella, you want to start us off?
Oh, sure. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Fosco. It was my pleasure to be there, and I really enjoyed chatting with the students and also meeting some of our partners at our new sister school. And yeah, that's it for my update.
I attended the Network for Public Education Conference in Columbus, Ohio. And basically the conference is a gathering of anti-charter, anti-voucher folks. And it was, as usual, pretty raucous, pretty firmly against charter schools and vouchers. And there was a lot of individual talks about different groups around the country who have put together, if you want, somewhat effective means of promoting public schools and not allowing charter schools and voucher folks to take over. So that was good to hear from that. And I wish that more of the sessions had been televised, because otherwise I can remember making my brain remember what was going on. And usually that just disappears after a day, so. That was it.
Sounds like a wonderful conference.
Well, coming back was less than wonderful. I mean, the flight coming back was less than wonderful. Because I ended up in Seattle and spent the night there.
Right?
Shortly after our last meeting, Clever and I went to an LAEF board meeting and answered questions. It seems like a long time ago now, but it was just after our previous meeting. And I've also been attending the curriculum council meetings, which is a whole series of, which added a couple of extra meetings because the work is to current work we've been doing is to establish a framework for evaluation of K-8 mathematics curricula. And then pick 2 or 3 that will be piloted next year. And then we'll come back in front of us for adoption. Yeah, spring, probably about a year from now.
I just wanted to add that, the PTA leadership meeting ended on Friday. And, the PTAs have some wonderful innovative ideas for our district. The first of which, May 17th, is the pet parade. And this year, all of our students will be walking behind an LASD banner, with their school shirts on, but all behind one banner. I think that's very exciting. And, Thursday, I'll be attending the Children's Summit, which Kids in Common puts on every year. And that's it for me. Okay, meeting adjourned.